Hi again, Doug here from X-Frames FPV, and today, well, I'm excited to just be making videos again. With everything, we had some problems with computer and just lots of things. I've not been able to put out videos as much as I would like, and I feel guilty when I don't, because I feel like I'm not talking to my community, because that's kind of how I communicate with you guys. So here we go. This is going to be just a mini review, and then it's also going to be, sorry about the plane going overhead. Let's give it just a little bit of a break before we start talking again. And there, probably can hear me now. But this is going to be a mini review, and also we're going to build the frame. So what are we talking about? Well, this has been the highly sought after and highly anticipated AstroX. I think there's a couple reasons for all the, I don't want to say hype, but all the attention around this release. And I know here in Southern California, and I got this from Serge over at pyrofliprc.com. I know that his Facebook page is just, everybody's been talking about it. I don't know exactly how many he got in the first batch. I know he was expecting more, but I know it sold out within hours. And so there's a couple of reasons. One is their previous designs were absolutely just really, really good frames. And part of the reason people love these frames is the carbon fiber and how well the carbon fiber is manufactured. And so, here's one of my favorite designers. This is also a Korean designer like AstroX. And this is from XB. And this is the True X, or the XV2, I believe is what they call it. And it's a True X configuration, but you can see this as well has some beautiful carbon fiber, really nice chamfered edges, really nice and smooth. And previously I thought this was some of the nicest carbon fiber I had seen until I saw the AstroX. So no diss to XB, still an amazing frame. I've had this in my shop probably for 3 or 4 months, and I'm waiting for the right motors before I build it, and I kind of have something in mind, so I haven't done that yet. But what we're talking about, AstroX, this is the Switch. They have a Freestyle, a Stretch X, and a True X. Now, this one is the Stretch. This is going to a customer, and this is the True X. That's going to me. So I'm going to build that up, and both me and my son will end up flying it, because that's just kind of how we do things. Whatever is his, we kind of fly around. Well, pretty much he's the only one that flies his, but he flies my stuff, and because we just have fun, right? That's what this sport is all about. So let's get to the tabletop. We're going to, like I said, we'll do a little mini review, and then we're going to just get some information and do a quick build of the frame. All right, so here's the AstroX. This is the Stretch. I'm going to open up and kind of show you my exact X, which is what they call just their standard X, True X configuration. But this is Stretch X. I wanted you to see it all laid out here on the bench. Let's go over this real quick. And if you're going to watch the build-out video of this frame, you're going to hear some of this information again. But I need to hit on it because it's very important to me. And that is the quality of the carbon fiber. And normally, if I was to pick up a new piece of carbon fiber, a new arm or new frame or whatever it is, I would never run my fingers across it like this. I would never caress it lovingly or do the Vanna White with it, right? Because you're going to get a lot of little micro splinters from it, or dust or whatever, and carbon fibers in your bloodstream, probably not the best thing. So, but this, it's chamfered and rounded so beautifully, and then they put a coating on it, and that coating really seals it. I mean, there's nothing coming off in my hands. It's super smooth. If it was soft, you'd want to use it as a pillow. But anyways, I digress. I love the way it's chamfered. Even the cutout here, you know, if you wanted to run your motors underneath the arms, that's what that hole is for. You run the motor the opposite way, and even that's chamfered, and it's beautiful. So I'm not going to CA glue the edges. Normally I would CA glue all the edges of the leading edge of these arms so that in a crash, boom, you're not going to have the issue of it splintering. But I think one of the things with this, with them having sealed this, I think that's going to prevent any kind of real issue. So we're going to try that out and kind of test it and see how it does. The hardware, absolutely phenomenal, beautiful hardware. And, you know, it's another thing I'm a sucker for is good hardware. One of the things, and I don't know the word for it, it is not something that I'm not going to even try to pronounce, but there's a couple of ways that they do carbon fiber. You know, carbon fiber is laid out in sheets. And normally what they do is they'll put one down, 90 degree, 90 degree, 90 degree, the layers, okay? That's your standard carbon fiber. What they do here is a process that costs more money because they put one sheet down and then they 45 and then 45. And what it does is, now I'm not an expert, so please don't like hit me up with 1,000. Well, you got it wrong. This is the actual process. I can just tell you what it does is makes an extremely strong piece of carbon fiber, and it's more expensive because when they're laying it out, it's harder for them to do a 45 as opposed to laying down a 90 degree. So that makes a really good product. It is, I'll say it again, I have a hard time repeating stuff that I say in other videos, but you may only be watching this video. So I was talking to someone in the industry today, and he was saying he felt like this was the first time that he got a frame in that actually is worth $100, which is what you pay for. It's $94. By the time you pay tax, it's going to be a little over $100. And I think it's worth it. It comes with a really, really great PDB. It has 5 volt, 12 volt out. 5 volt is 2 amps, 12 volts 0.5 amps. So you're not going to run a VTX off of the 12 volts. If that's what you're thinking, you're going to have to run a separate voltage regulator. It's just not enough for it. 3 to 5S, but the layout of the components and the build quality is really good. A lot of times on the cheaper builds, you'll see, this stuff will be crooked. The components that they put on there will be crooked. Is that a huge deal? Does it matter if it's straight or crooked? It doesn't in the way it performs, but it shows a level of disconcern, if that's even a word, of making things as good as you can. And this thing is made as good as I think they can. And it's just a really nice PDB. So if you're going to use a PDB and you're going to only run up to 5S, that's included. Now, a lot of us now are running 4-in-1s, which is what I'm running on a lot of my stuff, so I will not be using that, but it's great to have. Again, we talked about the hardware, impeccable. Here's my only, as I drop it, my only gripe with this frame. I'm really thankful that they included these pads, battery pads, and I think the other pads are for different battery configurations and probably a camera. But this neoprene is not good. I have a bunch of this stuff that I bought at a wholesale place and hoped that it would be good neoprene, and it's not. It compresses extremely easily, and it's not just that, but as if you have something that you're using a lot, like a battery, man, when I strap my batteries in, I compress them with my finger and then I strap them because I want them to be in there. This stuff is not good for that. It's going to compress over time and be just nothing. It's going to end up being like a thick piece of paper. So that's my only gripe, is I wish they had some better neoprene, at least on the battery part, but that's no big deal. It comes with everything that you need. It does come with, dual mount dual mount camera posts here so that you can run if you have, like, for instance, a run cam has the secondary mount on it, and you can use that. So that's really great and really well thought out. I'll kind of show you, I'll do not really an unboxing, but kind of show you how it looks when everything comes together or when everything is opened up in the box. Okay, so this is mine. This is the AstroX. The other one they call a stretched. But I'll show you kind of the unboxing just so you can kind of see how well laid out it is. So it reminds me a lot of when you get an Impulse RC frame. This is kind of how they do theirs. It's laid out really, really well, packaged really, really well, so that, you know, screws aren't just all together in one package. They're compartmentalized so that when you're building it, it will be, you'll know which ones are which, you know, which one's 8mm or 6 or whatever. Really nice hardware. I say that again. 2 battery straps. You've got your really nice standoffs. These little standoffs that are for the flight controller, I'm assuming. That nice PDB with XT60, and it does come with 2 caps on it if you run caps on your builds. And then all the carbon fiber. Another XT60 that's separate in case you're not running the PDB that's included. So it's all packaged really well and a really good frame. So let's go now to the build. All right, so one of the nice things also about this setup is with the switch, this has the ability to change your configuration. So all of this hardware, all of the pieces and parts and arms and all this stuff is interchangeable between the X, the HS I believe is what they call, which is their freestyle, and then the Stretch X, which is what this is. The only difference is the bottom plate and top plate, not bottom plate. And what that does for us is it makes it, if you want to switch your configuration, you can just really simply by buying these 2 plates. I believe they're both 2.5mm. But what it also does is when it comes to ordering parts, because this designer has chosen to do it this way, it's a lot easier for them to keep stock on all of these parts. He doesn't have to order separate parts for the X, so you go and try to order parts for the X, they're not in stock. Well, they have them for the XS. Well, they're all the same, so that's a really awesome thing. So let's get to the build. The first one, you know, we've got all these screws you're going to use. I've already pulled them out, but the 2 top layers. The first screw here, look how really nice that is countersunk there. Super nice. And yep, I figured it would not just go in there. I've talked about before, I like when stuff is a little hard to screw in. I don't like when I'm putting arms in or putting, you know, whatever in, that it just kind of, a lot of times you can just push the bolt through. And the reason I like that is because down the road, as things kind of loosen up a little bit after crashes and stuff like that, this has further to go, right? So if it's tight in the beginning, it's just going to stay tighter longer, okay? Now look at that. I mean, it tightens up without any hardware holding it in there. No nut, no nothing, and it's already fairly tight. So, love that about this. Okay. So then we're going to go right on top of this. They call this the reinforcement plate. And we've got these little grommets. I don't know if that's what they're called, but that's what I'm going to call them. And I caught it, guys. Yeah, that slides right on top. And it's going to compression fit right in there. makes for a really strong joint. Same way that they do if you buy an Impulse RC Alien. They do it the same way. And I'm not going to tighten this down too much yet. We're just going to get them started, okay? Okay, so that's the center or the outside screw down. Like I said, I'm not going to screw them down super tight yet. I'll do that once I make sure everything else fits without issue. Okay, so now let's go ahead and go to the center part, and that's where you utilize these really long screws. They come up through. I'm fumble fingers this morning for some reason. Could be that wow, really? I had so much coffee this morning. I don't always drink coffee, but sometimes I just want some cold brew, and that's what I had this morning, and as you can see, it's causing issues. Okay, and then this is going to do the same thing. You're going to put the grommets on here. If you want to comment in the comment section and say, this is what they're called, they're not called grommets, feel free, just do it nicely. I am just a man, and I am very flawed. And once that starts, it's just going to suck it right down in there. Let's do the rest of them. Okay, so now I have all of these. You know, I know everything's fitting fine. Now it's the time, you know, you just sink them down as far as you can with your fingers like this, where they touch the carbon fiber. Once they touch the carbon fiber, make sure you can see that. We're just going to slowly sink them in to where, oops, trying to see on camera and do this same time, not the easiest. Okay, do it to the point to where most of the so it sinks really tight, and you know you won't see most of the little serrated edges once that's done. Same thing here. And try not to do what I did, which is I was paying attention to the camera, and so I wasn't holding this as tight. And if you do that, you know, this will kind of break loose, and once that does, it damages the screws a little bit. This one's fine, but you can strip them out. So let's finish the rest of them. Okay, there it's done. They're all sunk in there. Give them a little pull. Now this one back here is a little loose, so we're going to try to get them to seat a little more, yeah, a little more firmly. There's, you know, there's a fine line between tight enough and too tight. And I have pretty strong hands, and so it's pretty easy for me to strip stuff out. That is super strong. Gosh, that carbon fiber is crazy. Okay, so now we go to, we'll open the rest of these. Sorry about that, guys. One of these packages, which we have Now we're going to go to the standoffs. Before we do that, let's take a look. So normally right here you would put, let's turn that one up a little bit. Normally right here you put the PDB. How beautiful that is. And then you would go with these small little standoffs right on top, like so. Okay. Now we're not running a PDB on this build, so we'll just go ahead on camera and see how well our bolt 4-in-1 is going to fit. These components with this build are going to be absolutely beautiful. So that's going to be perfect. It clears completely. Is it sticking up a little bit here? Maybe something hitting there. So we'll have to see. We may have to, yeah, it looks like there's something hitting there. Now we could spin it and have it coming out the back. And then, yeah, there's some component hitting there. So what we'll end up doing here on this one is we'll just put a little spacer in there, just a tiny one to space it out. But for now, even though it's not perfect, and we don't have the grommets in there, I know, don't say, oh, your grommets are missing. I know that. We're just doing this for a quick view of what it's going to look like. And yeah, man, this hardware is gorgeous. I know it may sound silly for me to be talking so much about hardware and so much about carbon fiber, but you know, it's the little details that really, person puts all those details into a build. They're committed to making this build as nice as possible. So on this one then, with the grommets, you can see that's really nice. Okay, and it does come with hardware. Where is that hardware? I know it's around here somewhere. It's just a little. Anyways, somewhere around here is some button head screws that then go on top of that. They may have, I don't know why they would do the countersunk, but maybe that's what we're supposed to use. Different size little standoffs if you need them. Okay, so let's go to the next step, which is the top plate. Okay, again, countersunk coming through. One of the things we're going to be doing in the future here is getting a better camera that will focus better on quickly on these kind of things, because the problem with this camera that I'm using right now is the focus is very slow. So when I'm coming from moving around, which I'm doing here, it doesn't do a very good job. And that will be, for you guys, it'll be nice because means everything will be in focus, especially for builds. And this is a big camera. This is a T5i that I've had for a while. It's a good camera for taking pictures. It's not a good camera, and it's a good camera for video, 1080p, but it's not a good camera for having in front of your face when you're trying to build something. Can you hear that my drill is running out of batteries? I hope it doesn't drive you crazy that I just chit chat. You know, I kind of feel like when I'm doing these videos, I'm talking to a friend, and so that's why I kind of chit chat through them. And it makes them long. You can fast forward through them if they get too long. I'm sorry about that, but that's just who I am. Boy, this is looking pretty nice, right? Okay. Let's see. It's this way. And then we're going to go with the top plate right on top of that. It's going to screw down with these smaller screws. You know, you want longer ones on the bottom for the standoff. Oh, that does not. Sorry. That's not the way that one is. Sorry. I growl sometimes. If I'm having an issue with something, you know, I'll just growl, and drives my kids crazy. Dad, don't growl. I've got a 6, a 7, and a 16-year-old, so maybe I'm wondering if that's just for now, just for giggles, because I want to put that on there because I think it's beautiful. And we've got more screws than what it came with, so that's just for now. Don't freak out. Don't freak out. I know the grommets aren't in there. I know we don't use a countersunk here. Countersunk actually kind of works there just because we don't have the grommets in there. The isolation, the soft mounting. And then this is the way we have the top plate here. Okay. And where is it? And then there we go. I'm missing because this is not, there it is, it's kind of sunk. My eyes. That's another thing about this huge camera is I have a hard time seeing around it for builds. Can you tell? It's like there's no counter. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Got the smaller ones in the back. And they're just slightly bigger in their front. I'm not going to use the side mounting plates in this, probably. I may, but they're right here if you would want to use them. But we're not going to use them for right now. Sorry about the accent. Somewhere between an Australian and a British accent. My customer Peter in Singapore, he's from England, and he has a very beautiful English accent. And every once in a while, when I'm talking to him, I'll break into my really bad British accent. And it just, first time I had to apologize because I'm like, I hope that doesn't offend you. It's just what I do. I remember one time me and my nephew, we were at Disneyland, and we made the decision, hey, let's all day long, as we're walking around, let's talk in a British accent. And that's what we did. I don't think we fooled one person. So there it is, guys. Oh my goodness. There it is. That's the AstroX. And that is one gorgeous frame. Now, when this is all said and done, you could probably even lower the profile. We'd have to see later on. Does come with this. This is a battery pad, lipo protector that you put underneath your lipo. And so, geez, I just love it. Absolutely love it. That's it, guys. Sorry it was so freaking long, but I enjoy talking to you. Check out my website, xframesfpv.com, and I hope you have some time to fly.